Welcome back to Jerry's Film Talks, and in this video we are going to be talking about everything that I watched in the month of April. I feel like I just got done recording the one for March. I feel like that was like just completed. Anyway, here we are. It's May now. I can't believe it. There was a lot I got through in the month of April that I want to talk about. So obviously where we left off previously, I was watching Game of Thrones. That was probably the biggest entry on the list, and I'm still watching it. I have been watching a little bit more. I'm just getting to season 3, so I'm watching it really slow. And that's mainly because one show took over the big winner here. That's the White Lotus. So I just finished watching White Lotus in its entirety, and I gotta say, it's absolutely fantastic. I just fell in love with this show right from the minute I finished watching it. The White Lotus quickly took over to becoming one of my favorite shows ever. And I feel like I say that on this channel all the time about shows because there's just so much to love out there right now. But seriously, on all fronts, The White Lotus is absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to be making a long section of this video about The White Lotus because I plan to make a video all about it in the coming weeks. But really, TLDR, this is the video where it's going to be just a quick abbreviation of how I feel. The White Lotus is fantastic. The idea for it is great. And even though this was supposed to be a limited series of just the first season and really that's it, I like what they're doing here. I like that you have 2 seasons that tell completely different stories with a little bit of continuity. Like bringing Jennifer Coolidge back into the mix for season 2, such a fantastic idea. So it kind of bridges the gap of the story a little bit, but feels entirely new. This is the kind of idea of something that could just run forever. It's the perfect blend of comedy and the perfect blend of drama. It's just so good. The stories are compelling and it follows someone's vacation each day, just in episodic form, I should say. So let's just say there's 7 days on a vacation. You're watching 7 episodes of a season to go along with that, and everyone's stories intertwine in these weird ways, even though they don't. It's just so good. It's so creative. I absolutely love it. And on all fronts, it's just awesome. This is definitely a different kind of show compared to something like Better Call Saul or The Walking Dead or even Succession or things like that. But what we get here is just so good. Each story in and of itself is really awesome. And I gotta say, I was really skeptical going into season 2 because I loved season 1. And as soon as we got to this new season with an entirely new cast, it to me just didn't feel right. And then I watched it and I was like, oh my God, wait, I like season 2 more than I liked season 1. It's crazy. It really is. Everything about the show is just fantastic. I can't wait to make a video all about it. But other than The White Lotus, I, like mentioned, went back, watched a little bit more of Game of Thrones, but I didn't get too far. Where I got was pretty much the very end of season 2, going into some of the great stuff we get from that show, and I can't wait to continue watching. Obviously, that one's going to be a little bit more on the back burner because there's just so much other stuff right now that I'd rather watch than rewatching Game of Thrones. I want to see new stuff. We have a ton of stuff on the horizon as well, such as Fear the Walking Dead's final season. We have Dead City. We have all the other Walking Dead IPs and things like that, and I really want to start Succession. So no, I haven't really spent a lot of time here as much as I thought, because I thought this month was going to be a month where I spent a lot of time in the Game of Thrones universe. I really didn't, and that's okay. And really, the only other show that I rewatched, I guess, technically, is a little bit of Always Sunny, but that's every month, so I can't really even talk about that. Now, the only other show that I watched this month was a little bit of Mythic Quest. I watched the first few episodes of it, and while I do like it, I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it. There's elements that I really love. I love that it's made by Rob McElhenney, and it features a lot of similar faces from Always Sunny, which is nice because it feels close to home. And that's nice when you have someone who made such a masterpiece show, stepping out and creating something else. That is something I really like. But I don't really like so far that this show feels extremely PC. And I think that's a real problem in media. That's a whole other video for another day. But I hate when they try to shove political ideologies down your throat. And I feel like the show does it just a little too much. it is what it is. Like, in the end of the day, I'm still going to enjoy it because the story is fun. The idea of this show is really good, but it leaves just a little weird stain in my mouth with the whole, PC sort of stuff they do. And it's not over the top. Like, it's not the worst I've seen. There's way worse out there. I mean, look at Disney right now, but this show does feel a little too, woke. I'm not a fan of that. I like when shows kind of just stay in their lane and don't try to shove political ideologies down your throat. That's all. But I gotta say, Rob McElhenney is awesome in this show, and the supporting characters are great. The idea is really cool. I never really understood how a game development company worked, so kind of seeing this helps me understand a little bit more, even though this probably isn't exactly like how a game development studio actually functions. It's really nice to see how they intertwine certain stories, like the streamers who review their games and things like that. It's just a cool dynamic for a show, and the idea is really fun. I do enjoy the story, so obviously I am going to continue to watch, but probably like Game of Thrones or anything, this show has not the strongest priority on my list, so I don't know how much I'm going to get through it. We'll see what happens throughout the month of May. But that's really it as far as shows go, and there's only one movie that I saw in this month, so I'm excited to talk about this one because I wanted to see this one forever. Before I even get into it, there's a couple movies right now. Actually, before this movie, there was a couple movies, quite literally two, that I was really interested in checking out. The first one being The Whale, which is the one we're about to talk about, and the second one being Beau is Afraid. I don't know why, I'm like obsessed with everything I've heard about this movie, even though it sounds, from what I've heard, really mixed, where it's like both good and kind of what the fuck did I just watch? But Beau is Afraid is something I really want to see, and hopefully by the time May ends, I will have seen it in theaters. I'm hoping. I just haven't found the time to do it yet, but I can't wait to see it. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about The Whale, because I just finished watching The Whale very recently, and oh my God, it is absolutely fantastic. This movie is seriously just in a different league. And yes, I know that this is based off of a play, and quite literally it is verbatim the play, and that's okay. That really is okay, because Brendan Fraser's acting in this movie and the prosthetics and all of the supporting characters are just so unbelievably good. This is just such an enjoyable movie to watch. And yes, there are some grotesque scenes where you're watching Brendan Fraser overeat and things like that, and it's really sad to see. It's not grotesque, it's just sad to see and makes you feel uncomfortable because you're watching the divulgence of this character and all of that stuff, and it's so sad. But overall, what you get is just such a beautiful, beautiful drama story. The only thing in it, and I know it's meant to be like beautiful or whatever, but but the ending, quite literally, and this is going to contain spoilers, but the ending where he dies and goes like I'm sorry, it took me out of it. It made me laugh, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is, I guess. I just don't know why they couldn't find a slightly better way to show that he's like crossed into the afterlife or anything like that. I thought the idea of him floating, it was just a little funny. It was like silly, and yeah, I don't know. That threw me out, but if that's my only complaint about the movie, I think it's doing fantastic. This movie was just so amazing. It really makes sense why Brendan Fraser got an award for this, because he just absolutely killed it. I'm so happy for him, and it was just so great to see. And yes, this is not just a sap story about Brendan Fraser. The supporting actors, whose names I don't remember, were just so unbelievable in this. Whether it was his daughter, whether it was his friend who was his caretaker, it didn't matter. It was just so good on all fronts. It really just was amazing. Everything in it, even the fact that the story was set in just an apartment and that's it. The only cutaway from the apartment set that we got was when he left the apartment to walk out on his balcony, and those flashbacks of him on the beach. That's it. Like, there's nothing else. I guess if you want to count pictures on Facebook as something, that's something. But man, it was so good for being such a condensed thing. And it was shot in 4:3, which is so amazing. I love when movies are shot in 4:3 aspect ratios. I love the 4:3 aspect ratio. And this movie absolutely nails it in it, because you feel confined to the space. And it did such a good job with that, because you are confined to the space. You're watching Charlie be confined to this space and confined to this body that he hates. It really is just a masterpiece of a film. And did I not even mention Samantha Morton, who played Alpha in The Walking Dead, is in this movie? I guess I totally forgot about that this whole time. She was good, but the whole time in my head, I was just thinking of Alpha's voice, because even though Samantha Morton is playing like an American character who doesn't have as much of a Southern accent, I still hear Alpha every time I hear her speak. I think it's just her voice, honestly, but she did a fantastic job. That really is not saying anything about her performance. Her performance was fantastic. Overall, it was just such a great movie. And that's why it's taking up a majority of what I watched in the month of April, because it was just so good. It was so good. I loved it. I want to rewatch it because I just finished watching it and I feel like I just need to see it again. I rented it. I want to watch it one more time before the rental is up, and I'm going to do that. But that checks off one of the two movies that I want to see so badly. So I already saw The Whale. Check. The next one that I really, really want to see is Ari Aster's new film, Beau is Afraid. I have heard nothing but mixed reviews. You probably thought I was going to say nothing but good things. That's absolutely not true. I thought I was going to say that because I'm not reading off a script. Whatever. Anyway, I've heard nothing but mixed things about this movie. Some people who I've seen in reviews have said they absolutely hated it. Some people I've heard say they absolutely loved it. To me, it seems like that is the perfect art form. When it's controversial like that, when it leaves you thinking. Even the people who said they've hated it said that it left them thinking for days and days and days. I want to see it. Something about the trailers just resonate with me. And I've heard from some of the reviewers who have reviewed this already, they felt the same way and then they didn't like it. I'm interested to see if I have that reaction. I have no idea. I've heard everything under the sun about this movie. I want to see it. The trailers look amazing. The cinematography looks amazing. It's just one of those movies that's like kind of calling my name, if that makes any sense. I want to check it out. I really do. So hopefully by the month of May, when that wraps up, you will see me reviewing that because it just looks so good. It's like not in any of my theaters. I think it just became available in one close to me, but the times are super weird. So I don't know. I need to go see it, and that's all. And as far as the rest of the month of May, I don't know. I'm done The White Lotus. I'm going to be watching Succession. I'm trying to catch up before the finale. If the finale didn't already air, I actually don't know. But I'm trying to get caught up in Succession and see it. I didn't even start that. But I'm going to finish watching Game of Thrones again. I want to do the rewatch. I don't know if that'll be the whole month of May. I don't know. Fear the Walking Dead comes out this month, so I'm excited for that. And, everything else. I think Dead City comes out this month too. I could be. No, that's June, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to be watching some stuff. We'll see. We'll see you back in the end of May. I couldn't get that out. We'll see it back then. But yeah, that's been it. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like rating. Let me know what you watched in the month of April down there in the comments. And I look forward to seeing you next month and for every other video because I got a lot of other content I'm working on. So it's not just these videos. But yeah, with all of that out of the way, thank you so much for watching this video. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.